welcome back again to your social science class, Being Logical with Tanushree ma'am. Today, I have come up with another video lesson from your history portion. As we all know that we are almost completed most of the topic from your first chapter, French Revolution. 2 or 3 topics are left from the chapter. Today, we are going to discuss about the topic Abolition of Slavery. Okay. This chapter in French Revolution, we have learned mainly about the condition, the socio and economic condition of the France during 18th and 17th century. What are the things that influence France or influence French people? Its condition, sometimes the economic background, sometimes the social condition, etc., etc. And what are the consequences that the rest of the world see after the mass revolution that the French people have observed. Today in this video we are going to discuss about the slavery, about the slave trade, mainly about the slave trade, which is very much popular in France during 17th century. Okay, so let's begin. That time, we all know that most of the European countries have their colonies throughout the world. And France and England, Belgium, Spain, Netherlands, these are the countries having most of their colonies throughout the Africa, Asia and America. That time, the French colonies which are in the Caribbean, that means in the American continent, are Martinique, Guadeloupe and Saint Domingo. Okay, why they are important in the French economy? Because they are the important suppliers of the commodities such as tobacco, indigo, sugar and coffee. Okay, that's why this colonies, these places are very much important. Now we already learned in our previous class 8, that most of these products belong from a plantation, and actually they are plantation crop, right? So they are actually cultivated in a plantation process where a huge amount of labor is needed. Okay, and that is why the slave concept of the slave trade was started in the French colonies. Okay, so let's see our next slide. That time, to supply the manpower, the slaves, French merchants used to sell from Bordeaux and Nantes. These are the most important port city in France. Okay, they are going from there. They are moved to African coast where they bought slaves. Obviously, they do not have that much of manpower or that much of a free labor, I would say, in their own country itself. So they are borrowing those men from the Africa. Okay, so collecting those men from the Africa, they are moved to their colonies, which are in the Caribbean cities. And the whole process are actually named as slave trade. They are taking those people from the Africa and they are actually having a sea voyage, and those voyages are 3 months long, and they are passing through Atlantic to reach the Caribbean places. Okay, so in this through process, it was extreme a barbaric thing that can be done by any person. Okay, why is it? Because actually they are treated those people as a thing or as a commodity, not as a human or not any living things. They are their most important thing, or their most their main aim to get their maximum profit out of it. Okay, let's just give a look to the city where the Nantes and Bordeaux was situated. These are the 2 port city, and the merchants are started sailing from there. Okay, and they move to, from here they move to Africa, they're collecting those slaves, and through this Atlantic Ocean, they move towards Caribbean portion. So, this is how the triangular slave trade was practiced among Europe, where the France is situated, Africa, from where they collected their slaves, to America, where their colonies are there, their plantation crops were growing, where the main slaves or the main manpower is needed. And this whole thing, this whole this practice are actually used to happen in 17th century. It was started in 17th century. Okay, so is it clear what is the slave trade? Slave trade is actually we referred as a triangular slave trade. Why is it referred as triangular slave trade? Because it involved mainly 3 continents. Europe, the people who are actually the merchants of the slaves are belong from Europe. They're collecting their commodities. That means the slaves, when they're using in this trade, the slaves are their commodity. They're collecting their slaves from the Africa, and their market, where they are going and selling them, was in America. Okay, this is whole about this is the thing which is named as slave trade. Okay, so this thing used to happen, and is actually a very common thing. Because general people, or the people who that time actually France, those who were educated, they are actually belong from the first estate or second estate, and they definitely capturing their their motive. Okay, they want to keep their profit, so they are not interfering in the slave trade. They are quite okay with it, with the slave trade and all. With the education penetrate in the third estate people, they have started a revolt. They have started making a strong objection against the slave trade. From the 18th century, they started a little criticism of the slavery in the National Assembly, because in that time the National Assembly already having a people who are also belong from the third estate, first estate and second estate. So all the people have their opinion. But because there is a huge portion that the first estate and third estate peoples are there, so they are not able to pass the law which can stop the slavery. The National Assembly most of the time failed to pass any law to stop this slavery. But finally in 1794, the France government set all the slaves free. If you remember, this time frame is actually referred as Reign of Terror. The time of the Jacobin government is in power. Some good work, if the Jacobin government had done ever, is definitely one of them is abolition of the slavery. They set all the slaves free. Okay? But after 10 years, in the time of the Napoleon Bonaparte, okay, he reintroduced it. He reintroduced or lifted the ban on slavery. Why is it? Because if you see that most of the third estate people who become rich, who become prosperous, this slave trade have a very crucial role to play in their prosperity, in their economic prosperity. So there is a huge pressure from the people of the France also to start this trade again, because it's actually very profitable to them. They are not very human. Actually, they do not take it in a human way. They are only seeing its profit out of it. But after, finally, when in 1848 it was entirely abolished in French colonies. Clear? So it was first banned, but the first ban on slave trade or on the slavery in the France was in the year 1794, and after 10 years the ban was lifted. It was the slavery, the trade or the slave concept was again came to the France, but finally in 1848 the slavery system in the France was entirely abolished. Clear? Okay. So, I hope you understand what I tried to explain. Okay, so let's give a quick recap. Okay, so in the 17th, 18th century, most of the French colonies are lie in Caribbean. Okay, the French colonies are Martinique, Guadeloupe, and San Domingo. Okay, and they are very much important because of their their supply of the tea, tobacco, indigo, and coffee. Not tea, sorry, sugar. Okay. French merchants who mainly belong from this port city, Bordeaux and Nantes are used to travel in African coast where they collecting slaves for their plantation crops and they are take those people to Caribbean. Okay, so this is how the triangular slave trade was practiced, and three main continents: Europe, the country belong from that continent: France, Africa, and America. But in 17th century, the criticism of the slavery in the France was started. But because of the huge support towards this slave trade, the National Assembly was every time failed to pass any law to abolish this slavery. But finally, in 1794, during Jacobin government, France set all the slaves free. They put a ban on slavery. But after 10 years, Napoleon reintroduced it in 1804. But finally, in 1848, it was entirely abolished in France. So students, I hope you understand the concept of the slave trade which was practiced in France and how it abolished in France during after different steps. Okay, if you have more interest in, so you can easily find information in the internet, you can search for it. And another thing, there are some movies also regarding the concept of the slavery. But most of the movies are actually based on America, based on the American black people. But if you watch those movies, maybe you will get a glimpse of what is slavery, what is the brutality of the slavery, what the barbaricness of the slavery. Those films are showed. Okay, one of the movies are 12 Years a Slave. It's a very good movie. Another movie is Lincoln. That movie is actually mainly is how depends on how the slavery thing was abolished in America. Okay, these two movies are very good to watch. It's very informative and it's good. You must watch it, and you can find some others also. Okay, so I will request you, if you have any, to grow your interest, you can watch this movie. Okay, so based on today's video lesson, I have prepared some questions for you. Okay, go through these questions and answer. Write down the answer of these questions in your history copybook. The questions are, okay, question number 1. Write the name of French colonies in Caribbean. Question number 2. Which two port cities mainly flourished due to slave trade? Question number 3. In which year French government first attempt to abolish the slavery? Question number 4. In which year French government was successful to abolish slavery in French colonies? Last question. Among which 3 continents slave trade took place? Okay, so this is it for today's video. I hope this video is helpful to understand the chapter or to understand the topic in a better way. Okay, So I hope you all are well, and stay in your home, stay healthy, and do visit our school website regularly for more queries and updates. And if you have any query or any doubts, do comment me in the video link, in the comment section of this video link. I'll try to reply. Okay. Thank you, and have a wonderful day ahead.